Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Body Bags. Um, okay, I know what you guys are thinking. Everybody's probably sitting here thinking, wait a minute, today is Wednesday. Rob from Georgia should be on. What the hell is this idiot doing on here? Well, Rob asked me if I would go ahead and switch days with him this week because he's got something really special planned for you guys. So I'm doing the Wednesday review for today, and Rob is going to do the Saturday review this week. And then next week, we'll go back to everything being normal again. But anyway, so yeah, I'm just filling in for him today. He'll be doing his video on Saturday. So anyway, I reviewed this movie on my old channel, Cinema77 Horror and Cult Film Lover. I did this almost like a year ago, and the reason why I feel like it bears repeating is because I come across a lot of people who, with this particular movie, and the movie we're talking about is 1975's The Stepford Wives. I keep coming across a lot of people that it seems like they really have trouble trying to interpret this movie, and they seem like a lot of people just don't seem to get it. And I've always liked this movie. Um, I remember being little, and I think I've told this story before. Where it's like I liked staying home from school because used to like TBS would play like old horror films in the mornings. Like I would see movies like this or Dark Knight of the Scarecrow or Marathon Man or Sisters or something. I used to see all these great movies, so I always wanted to stay home and watch these movies. You know, and this is how I got to see this movie. And I read the book by Ira Levin. The book is actually really good, but see, here's the thing: to a lot of people, this movie is very much considered a sexist film, and I never considered it to be that. I've had people argue with me because I kind of have to give away a spoiler here, but I have to do it to make a point. A lot of people feel that this is an anti-female film because in the end, the men win, the women lose. But, I'll get to that in just a minute. Okay. So the story, you have Catherine Ross, well, kind of Catherine Ross there. She plays Joanna Everhart, and her and her husband Walter and their two daughters. They live in New York, and Walter has decided he doesn't want to live there anymore, and he bought this house in Stepford, Connecticut. And basically, he really wants to live this kind of, Andy Griffith, almost like Mayberry existence, and he wants to, really have his family life be kind of like something like, like a Doris Day movie or something like that. Anyway, so he decides he's going to up and pack his family, and they're going to move to Stepford, Connecticut, and things. So Joanne gets there, and she's, we reveal pretty much early in the movie that Joanne, she's always been a big city girl, and moving out to the small town, it's not really something that she wants to do. She's always been a big city girl, born and raised in New York, so that's just what she knows, what she's used to. So she's trying to adjust. She's dealing with a culture shock, basically. And, eventually she meets another woman who is in the same situation named Bobby, played by Paula Prentiss, who, the acting in this movie is awesome. The female acting in this movie is great. And then eventually they meet a third woman who's kind of going through the same thing named Charmaine. And Charmaine is played by Tina Louise, who everybody's always going to remember her. She was Ginger on Gilligan's Island. That's how she's always going to be forever remembered. And, they're talking about like how weird it is here. And like they try to talk to the women, and some of the women they don't get along with. And it seems like all the women want to do is just cook and clean and do dishes and do laundry and, have sex with their husbands. And it seems like they don't want to do anything else. And they're kind of weirded out by the whole thing. And then, we find out that all the men in this town of Stepford, they join this group called the Men's Association. And so, they start to wonder like, well, what's going on up there? And at one point, like, Joanna, she's just out walking her dog. She's out one evening walking the dog, and she just happens to go near this place where this Men's Association is. And, she gets, here comes a cop and tell her you can't go near there. And, she's like, I'm just out walking my dog. Well, you can walk your dog, but you can't go near there, and things like that. And then the more time that, Joanna finds out that she spends in Stepford, it seems like the worse things are getting. And eventually, it seems like, eventually like Charmaine changes and then she starts to become like one of these women. All she wants to do, is she just wants to cook and clean and please her husband. And that's all she wants to do. And then, as the movie progresses, it's like her and Bobby start to become more and more paranoid and they start to become more fearful and they're trying to figure out what's going on. And they're, wondering, could it be something in the water? Because even at one point in the movie, they take the water, a sample of the water to be tested. And, so they're trying to figure out what's going on and they just want to know what's happening. But both Bobby and Joanna start to realize that, time is really running out and things are not turning out well. So, like I said, I'm sorry that I ended up having to give away the ending saying that the women don't win in this movie. So I could kind of understand why people would think that this is a sexist film. But no, this movie, in my opinion, really is a feminist film. It's not an anti-female movie at all. If anything, it's a pro-female movie because from the very first frame of the movie, the very first character we're introduced to is Joanna. And we see the movie takes place from Joanna's point of view. It's all about her. It's her story. We're seeing the events unfold through her eyes. And, we could see that, the noose is tightening and everything else. I'm going to be honest. Okay. If you've never seen this movie, if you're going into this hoping for some good gore, stay away. Okay. Sorry, gore hounds, but this movie's not going to do it for you. Okay. This movie, no gore. This is more a movie about, it's more about building tension and creating suspense and trying to be scary and things like that. If you like that kind of horror film, then yeah, this would definitely work for you. But like I said, in this movie, the females, they don't win, but the movie takes place from their point of view. And what you're going to notice if you watch this movie, I definitely noticed it, was that in this movie, okay, the women are gorgeous. They're all beautiful, stunningly beautiful women. Smart, good personality, caring, compassionate, talented, skilled. They have skills, things like that. And, that's the thing. The women are built up in this movie to be really great, likable, interesting characters. And, we watch the movie, you see like the dialogue between like Bobby and Charmaine and Joanna, and you realize like these are good-hearted women. It's like, okay, yeah, they got married, and so it's like maybe marriage wasn't exactly all they thought it was cracked up to be, but they don't regret it. They don't hate their husbands. They don't resent them or anything like that. They love their children. They've and all this kind of stuff. But, like I said, the women are good-hearted people. And, but it's like the men in this movie are disgusting. The men in this movie are appalling. And, I sympathize with the women in this movie. I sympathize with Charmaine. I sympathize with Joanna. I sympathize with Bobby because, there's like a scene where they decide, well, I think Joanna and Bobby decide, well, let's get all the women together. We can have kind of like a group session where we just talk about things, talk about what's going on in our lives, talk about like, interests we have outside of the home and things like that. And, they get the women together, and at first, Charmaine is talking about like, I want to be, the man that the man. You never know in this day and age, but she's talking about like, I want to be the woman that my husband always dreamed of. I want to be, I want him to love me. I love my husband so much, but I'm not sure if he loves me as much as I love him. And I'm worried because I want to try to please him. I want to try to love him. And this is before, anything happens to her. And Bobby, it's like we find out Bobby is just this kind of like happy person, she's loud, she's boisterous, but she's got a sense of humor. She comes across as like a person who just loves life and just just tends to be happy, that kind of thing. So it's like, that's what makes her appealing, and she likes to joke and she likes to laugh and talk and things like that, it's like, and she's, and she's not annoying, some people might have thought she was. I didn't particularly think so, but, and then Joanna, it's like, Joanna is, she loves her husband. She admits in the movie that, that before she met her husband, that she was in love with another guy and their relationship just lost steam or something happened. And then, but she said, like, I don't, she's like, I don't regret marrying my husband. I don't regret having my kids or anything like that. But it's the men in this movie are the ones who are disgusting. The men, and it's one thing, it's like, it's stated over and over in this movie. The men in this movie are losers. They really are. And these guys, like, they're pissed off because their women don't spend all day cooking and cleaning, taking care of the house, taking care of the kids, all that other kind of stuff. They're upset because they come home, they want to get laid, their wife's not in the mood, all these other kind of things. And it's like, they want to trade their wives in and stuff. And it's like, you look at these guys. It's like, it's like back in the day, Tina Louise was considered like one of the sexy women, one of the gorgeous gals of television and stuff like that. Then, like, watch this movie and see her and look at the guy that she's married to. And it's like, you would think, like, this guy couldn't win a woman like her over in a million years because, he's fat and dumpy and gross. And when you realize, like, their reasons for doing what they're doing, that they find out, first of all, why are they killing their wives and replacing them with robots? Why? Because they can. And the main bad guy is played by Patrick O'Neal. He even says that in the movie. He's all like, why are we doing this? Because we can. And it's like, hey, it's nothing against you women. We just happen to think of it first. So, and then you realize, like, their reasons for wanting their wives dead and replaced by robots is so horrible and stupid. You realize, like Charmaine, her husband, he wants her dead because she has a hobby. She likes to play tennis. Okay. She likes to play tennis, and, 2 reasons why she likes to play tennis. One, she likes to stay in good health, and, tennis is a healthy exercise. Okay. So she does it for her health. 2, she likes to stay in shape because she wants to look good for her husband. Okay. But because she likes to play tennis, that signed her death warrant. Pretty much, Bobby, it's never really explained, why they want to switch her. I would guess probably because she's too, if I had to guess, Bobby, she's probably like, she's too outspoken. She's too, she's not really reserved. And, and that's the thing, like, you watch this movie, these guys, they want their wives to be like these old fashioned, almost Victorian housewives that, they never talk back. They never have opinions. They never, all they do is just agree with their husbands, all day and all night. Joanna, the reason why Joanna deserves to die, because she wants to be a photographer. Now, she loves her kids. She loves her husband, and all this other kind of stuff. But because, once in a while, she likes to pick up her camera and go out and take pictures. And, she says in the movie, all she ever wants, she's like, she's happy being a wife and a mother. But there's just one thing she would like to do. She would just like to, be able to take a picture that was good enough that one day people would look at that picture and, respect her. She just wants to, photography is a passion of hers. She just wants that one picture that people would remember her for. And even the guy, when she's talking to the guy in the, she's talking to the guy in the art gallery, and she's telling him this, and she's like, I just, like anybody else, I just want to be remembered. And he's all like, huh, don't we all? So it's like, what Joanna's asking for is not anything unreasonable. But because Joanna, like at one point earlier in the movie, like he asked for a cup of coffee and she says, is instant okay? I forgot to go to the store today. So because of shit like that, because, she's not always ready to go. He wants to get laid. She's ready. She's not always ready to go and things like that. and she doesn't always go to the store and everything else because of these, and because she likes to take pictures. This is what's, this is why Joanna Everhart deserves to die. So, it's things like this, that bug me. And it's like, I'm sure that there are probably men out there who probably watched this movie, and in the beginning of the movie, when he mentions the character Walter, when he mentions the men's association, and he's, telling her about, and he's all like, well, they asked me to join and all this. And she's like, she turns around, I give up on you. She's like, you make it out that we're supposed to be, you make it out that we're supposed to be in a marriage. We're supposed to be in a partnership, that everything is supposed to be 50-50, that we're supposed to, we're supposed to decide on things together. She's like, first of all, you asked me if I want to move, and before I can even say anything, I found out you're already looking for a house. She's like, you bring me out here, you asked me if, you asked me if I like this area. I found out you already got a house pinpointed out. Then you'd show me the house. You asked me, do I like the house? Found out you already made the down payment. Now you're asking me about this men's association, and it's clear you've already joined. And she's like, I thought we were supposed to be a partnership. Why do you even bother asking me at all when it's clear you're just going to do whatever you want and everything? And she's upset about it. And, it's like I said, I'm sure some guys would be like, oh God, what a nag. But, what she's saying is not anything unreasonable. At least from my point of view, it's not unreasonable. But, like I said, when you watch this movie, it's clear that the men in this movie are schlubs. They're, fat, gross, boring. That's the thing. It's like, even there's a scene in the movie where Joanna, or Walter asks Joanna, can I bring the guys over the men's association so we can, have our little meeting here tonight? And she's like, yeah, sure. And so she's, being a good hostess, and, she looks, stunning, and just amazing. And she's, serving drinks and all this other kind of stuff. And she's, she's ready to leave and all that. And they're all like, it's like, hey, can Joanna sit in? And it's like, yeah, as a woman, she have a lot to contribute. So she's sitting there and she's listening to these guys. And it's clear. I mean, hell, I'm a guy, and even I'm listening to these guys. I'm bored to tears, and these guys are, they're gross, and they're, just whiny, and, just slobs. And, and they're boring. With the stuff they're talking about is boring. And then Joanna mentions that. And that's one thing you keep noticing in this movie, is that, the men are, they're just, they don't deserve these women. I mean? It's like, they got these beautiful women and stuff that genuinely love them and want to be with them. But because, they're human beings and they're flawed, that needs to be dealt with. That needs to be, done away with. So, but, I'd never, watching this movie, I never sympathized with the guys. And like I said, it's like, you think these guys would be so damn lucky. It's like, if you have a woman who looks like Katherine Ross there, and she loves you, and she cares about you, and she's willing to make love to you, I think I could, be okay with, the fact she didn't make it to the store today. Just, stupid things like that. But, like I said, though, going into this, I always felt this movie was a pro-female movie. I never felt it was an anti-female movie. And I feel like the sequel, I think it's like Stepford Husbands or Return of the Stepford Wives. I don't remember. It had Don Johnson in it. And then they got that god-awful remake that Nicole Kidman was in. That came out. It's clear they didn't understand this movie. And when they did that, when they made those movies, they were trying to fix something that was wrong with this movie. But in my opinion, there was nothing wrong with this movie. This movie's fine the way it is. And, it's like, I don't know, maybe people won't agree with me, but it's like, when I watch this movie, I sympathize with the women. I root for the women, and there's even a part in the movie where, like, Joanna and, Bobby, they, not accidentally, but they go into this couple's house, and then, they're standing in the living room, and they hear upstairs, they hear the woman, and she's just, having sexual passion and just, the way she's talking. Oh, Frank, you're the champion. Frank, you're the king. Frank, you're the master, and all this other kind of stuff. And then later on, they see, they find out who these two are. And it turns out it's the chemist and his wife, or the pharmacist and his wife. And you see this guy like, huh? And it's like, whoa. And even the girls are saying, it's repeated over and over again in the movie. These men are not gods, but yet the women make them out to be. So, like I said, I sympathize with the women in this movie. I always felt this was more of a pro-female movie, more of an anti-male movie, if anything. One other thing I'm glad about is that I'm glad, like I said, when they did the sequel with Don Johnson, they did the remake with Nicole Kidman. And one thing they tried to do is they tried to go more into the details of how the operation works. And I'm glad that they didn't do that in this movie because, nowadays you could probably get away with that because now they got you got documentaries on Netflix where they're talking about building sex robots and things like that. So it's now you could kind of do that and it would make a little bit more sense. It would seem a little more realistic. But at the time this movie was made, this is one of those movies, it really, really, the suspense and the terror of it really benefits from the fact that you don't know what's going on all the time. The fact that you're not getting all the information. They don't try to lay everything out for you. So this is one of those kind of movies you really do, for it to work, you really do need that little bit of mystery. Because to try to, to really try to go too much in depth on it, it's just going to make the movie come off as stupid and corny. So, but anyway, though, yeah, I definitely recommend this movie, and I think I've gone on long enough. That's for damn sure. But I think I've said everything I needed to say about this movie. But it's just, for me, this movie is it's a pro-female movie. I've always felt the whole movie is from the women's point of view. It's constantly stated over and over again that the men are not worthy of these women that they got, and they should be happy that they have them at all. And it's it's clear. You just see these guys and see, how oafish and boorish these guys are, that, it's you ought to consider yourself lucky this woman, was willing to marry you. So, and then one other thing that, it's another reason too, that it's the men are so disgusting. It's one thing that haunted me after the first time I watched this movie was I thought about when, at the very end of the movie, you see that Walter, he's there with Joanna, and Joanna's changed and he's got the two daughters. Think about it this way. Would you sympathize with a guy like Walter, knowing that he's raising his girls in Stepford and that there's a good possibility the day is going to come, those daughters of his are going to grow up, then they're going to meet men, and these men are going to want to marry them, and then they're going to turn around and do to his daughters what happened to their mother. And if this guy's willing to live with that, there's no way in hell I would ever sympathize with a guy like that. Not now, not never. Think about it. Just that idea alone is haunting. That, you did this to their mother. The day could come, your daughters grow up and they meet the man of their dreams. That man's going to turn around and murder them and replace them with robots. Think about that. So, anyway, I'm sorry this video has gone on way too long. And if anybody took the time to watch all of this, I thank you for doing it. I appreciate you for doing it. And I honestly hope you enjoy this video. I'm sorry for all the rambling and repeating myself. If you like the video, please like. If you're new to body bags and you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We got 7 guys, 7 videos every day of the week. Everybody's doing really good stuff. And so yeah, normally, like I said, Rob is going to be doing the video on Saturday, and then we'll go back to next week where I'm the Saturday reviewer. So that's it. Like I said, I've gone on too long. So take care, everybody. Have a good night, and I'll talk to you later.